Good morning children. Welcome back to Social Studies tutorial. So as you all know that we were doing chapter 4 Gender, Caste and Religion of Civics in our last session, where we have discussed that how the society have created stereotypes between men and women irrespective of their work, though men also perform the same work if they are paid. So what they created, that they have created two spheres of as public and private, where public sphere is to be participated by men only. On the other hand, private sphere of life, that is to be participated by women as women. So what exactly the private sphere? That all the household works are to be performed by women. Because of this, there was the reduction in the participation of women in public sphere, which leads to the discrimination, and just because of this discrimination there was very less opportunities for the women for their development. Because of this existing inequalities, what the women did, they started raising their voice and they organized themselves, and what they organized for the feminist movements. But what happened children, that as in our last session we have learned that feminist movements, though the feminist movements was the movements which were with the intention of getting equal rights, whereas some of the people considered it in a very different manner. What they considered it, that the women of our society are demanding more rights than the men. But actually it was not like that, because they did not demand for dominance. So what exactly we can conclude, that the feminist movements were the movements which has the intention of getting the equal rights for both men as well as women in the public and private spheres of life. So in today's chapter, what we are going to learn about the different aspects of life where the women are being discriminated. So this is political expression of gender leads to the upliftment of women, because when there was the problem, then what exactly they just started finding out the solution, and what the solution they got, that there must be the political representation. So there was the political expression of gender leads to the upliftment of women, and there is the participation of women in public sphere is very high. So when there was the feminist movements, it leads to the high participation of women, especially in the Scandinavian countries. What the Scandinavian countries these were, if you just look at the world map, there is a plateau. So what exactly, there is a plateau, so which is called as Scandinavian plateau. So these countries, Sweden, Norway and Finland, where the women have highest participation in public sphere, where like most of the women just goes to their workplace, where like on the other hand the men used to work at their houses. So afterwards, what exactly now learn about the discrimination against women. Here we are going to learn about the discrimination, what the women face, disadvantages or the discrimination or the operations in the various aspects of life. So what are the discriminations there? So the first one is of their patriarchal society. What the patriarchal society is, students, in a patriarchal society, there is the rule of men of the family. They have more powers in comparison to women, and all the decisions are taken by the male members. Just because of this patriarchal society, the women had to face disadvantage, discrimination and oppression. Then the next is literacy rate. Students, though we are developing day by day, even just because of the like increasing rate of education or the literacy rate, there are the changes, but still there are the areas, remote areas, where the people have patriarchal society, or the just because of this, women are getting very less opportunities for their education. I am just giving you an example. Like suppose if there are two children in the same family named Mohan and Geeta, and suppose they are going to school, and once they attend the school up to 8, later on suppose there are the financial crisis in the families that they are not like financially feasible enough just to pay the fee of both these children. So what exactly they take the decision that Geeta has to stop getting education, and they send the child Mohan. So this is actually just because of this. If you just look here, so what we get that the women among 54% and men, that is of the their literacy rate is 76%. So what exactly this is actually shows the dropout rate, that still women gets very less opportunities for their education. The next is your jobs. So students, if we talk about job opportunities, though female members are getting the opportunities in their jobs, but what exactly is still the women proportion in high paid jobs where they are getting more salaries, it's very less, because though their average working hours is quite higher in comparison to the men, but even after this they are getting very less salaries or wages. And just after reaching at home, they also have to look after their families where their efforts are completely devalued. Then the next is remuneration, salary or wages. Though in our country there is an Equal Remuneration Act 1976, but even after this, female members in our societies are considered very less. They work for the long hours and they get very less salaries or wages in comparison to men. Then the next is female fertilizers. What exactly? Because in our society, as I told you earlier, that we have patriarchal society, so parents prefer to have son instead of girl. So what exactly, there is a kind of sex determination, and once they get to know that that there is a female, then they get the girl child aborted, and if there is son, then they continue, and what exactly, there is an abortion. So even after this, there is a reduction in the sex ratio. What the sex ratio is? The number of girls on per 1,000 boys. So if we talk about our country, so the ratio is 919 is to 1,000. So you can see with this that there is 919 is to, so if we talk about this ratio, which is very less, and just because of these ratios, there is so many crime like atrocities or the others with which you come to know every day, with your newspapers or so on. And even after this, the next is your harassment, exploitation, domestic violences. This is also a kind of discrimination of the women, that still they face the harassment, exploitation or the domestic violence. So I hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe.